Hello indie-game fans, CrossCode is one of those indie darlings that needs to be played, a title that spent what seemed like too long in early access, but that was because the developer kept adding more and more content to it, to the extent that the main story averaged out at 35 hours, which is insane for an indie game, and a completionist playthrough would be 78 hours, where there isn't quite anything else like this action-adventure RPG on the market. That is, until developer Radical Fish Games officially announced their next project named Alabaster Dawn. Similarly, this is an action-adventure RPG that sports their signature, gorgeous pixel art, but with a twist, since it is a 2.5D title instead of just being pure pixel art. That means that the environments look pretty different, and there are more shadows in this game, although you can certainly see similarities between this game and CrossCode. For example, hopping along the little rocks when exploring, as well as firing off projectiles, both in combat and when solving puzzles, down to having the dotted line to guide your shot. That is not necessarily a bad thing, since these are systems and mechanics that work. So what's more interesting is what else that is new. For one, there is a mini Path of Exile style skill tree in this, so there are more options to develop your character, and you even see hints of a village building aspect in which you are repairing and restoring these villages, which look awesome. The Steam store page does have more to say with regards to the story and mechanics, so I'll run through them. The shadow of Nyx has fallen, warping the world into a wasteland and vanishing the gods and their people. Now, Juno, the outcast chosen, awakens to an impossible task, bringing it all back. There's certainly Greek mythology inspiration here, since Nyx is the Greek goddess who is the personification of the night, which you might be familiar with from Hades.
Do not despair, child. Such setbacks are inevitable and may be overcome with effort and with time.
And while not explicitly evil in the traditional sense, it probably has something to do with the cyclical nature of day and night, which sets the events of this game into motion. From the opening of the trailer, we see our heroine awaken from some sort of stasis, and given that she's an outcast, her interactions with the other people would be interesting. Adding to that is the village building aspect, since she needs to awaken the rest of humanity, rebuild settlements, establish trade routes and advance science by helping the people, so it's kind of a weird, interesting aspect to add to a game like this. Along with the visual upgrades, when settlements progress forward is the unlocking of new paths and opportunities, so that would form the foundation of the progression systems in this game. Let's talk about combat. Other than the obvious CrossCode inspiration, they also cite Devil May Cry and Kingdom Hearts as inspirations, although I don't think you'll be knocking enemies up into the air to pull off sick combos in this game, but the most curious aspect is that it has 4 elements and 8 unique weapons, of which 2 can be slotted into each element at any given time, with a system that encourages you to swap between your weapons even while in combat. There are separate skill trees for each weapon, which have their own combat arts, and there's something called divine arts for each element, so that you can use powerful spells, looking to be very dense in terms of combat options. Additionally, from the screenshots on the store page, there is a full RPG and leveling system, equipment, although different from the mannequin-style system in CrossCode, but you can see similar modifiers like balance in the left-hand pane. You can slot gems into your weapons, activate powerful enchantments, and add additional gem slots for more customization. And then there's also this, the aforementioned mini Path of Exile style skill tree, which I believe is the same as the weapon skill tree mentioned earlier, having both active skills or abilities relating to the weapons or more passive ones like this Affinity Up skill, which is rather general and should apply across the board, although I am curious if you would be able to get enough points to level up everything or if you have to pick and choose. In terms of exploration, this does the modern indie game thing like in Sea of Stars or CrossCode, in that while the world looks like one of the classic tile-based JRPGs, there is actually freedom of exploration since you can parkour along hidden paths to get to treasure and loot, which includes upgrade materials, gems, and even recipes for their cooking system. It will also allow you to annotate the map, and there will be fast travel, having the quality of life additions that should make this a breeze to play. They are also planning for 7 unique areas to explore and secrets to uncover, so if you love exploration in games, this should pique your interest. Also, they are targeting a 30 to 60 hour experience, so something on the level of CrossCode if not bigger, so I'm definitely excited for this, although do note that it is still a relatively small team with their official website listing just 13 people, so it was amazing that CrossCode is as good as it is, so I'm holding them to that standard and hope this meets or exceeds expectations. Cooking will also be a central mechanic to interact with, since it levels up the healing options available to you with temporary boosts after you consume a meal, and encourages the collection and cooking of different recipes, since that increases your palate level. Where I'm guessing that something like a fishing system would make sense for this game, although it is not currently shown in the trailer. This developer has actually been showing off the game on Twitter, search #Project Terra for more, with the current trailer version of this game looking like they are prototypes and works in progress, and it's just fun to look through and maybe get a tease of what's to come. Unsurprisingly, this got right up there near the top of my indie game wishlist, and if you're anything like me, should be of interest as well, so add it to your wishlist if interested. Although there's no official date as of yet, the plan according to their blog post is to release a demo in early 2025 with an early access launch in late 2025, and the reasons for early access are the same as for CrossCode, to get feedback from a large number of players to make the game better, as well as to have a steady stream of income while making the game the best that it can be. As a side note, I don't really have any great examples of games like this and CrossCode, of action-adventure RPGs that kind of look 2D Zelda inspired but with leveling, XP, an equipment system and real-time combat, with maybe Unsighted coming the closest. So if you know any games like this, whether they are old or new, please share them with me in the comments below, since I would very much like to check them out. If you love pixel art games, watch this video to see a tier list of 100 of the best.